Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing part 1 of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Now this was sent to me recently by one of my subscribers, Ian. I believe Ian also sent me one of my copies of The Spearhead from Space Blu-ray, so I certainly appreciate Ian sending this, because I have wanted to watch it again. I've only seen it once before. It was some time ago, so it's not fresh on my mind. I do remember not being as fond of it as most people are. If you've heard me talk about it on the channel before, you know that Greatest Show in the Galaxy is one of only two stories I don't really care for from McCoy, because I love the McCoy era. But Delta and Greatest Show I've never been big on, but I've always added with the caveat that I needed to rewatch it. So I have rewatched part 1, and my opinion hasn't changed. Or if it has changed, it's not for the better. Let's talk about the good parts of part 1. The guy playing the head clown is good. I've always liked him. Now, he's not in this a lot. He's not doing a lot here, but just what little bit he's in part 1, he's good. I especially like that makeup on him. It's really well done. Whoever made the design choices for that, excellent job. He's good. Sylvester and Sophie are doing a great job playing the Doctor and Ace. They always do. They know these characters well. Ace as a character, having to confront another one of her fears, that does get a little tropey in this era, what the Doctor kind of puts her through, which is a little irksome as it happens a lot. But they're playing their parts really well. What else do I like about the story? There's that one shot you see a couple times where it shows the circus and it's got that cool planet in the background, like that looks kind of like, you know, Saturn with the ring. That looks really cool. It's a really neat shot, especially for 1988 classic Who. That's a really impressive shot, and I liked it. The episode being filmed outside completely due to strike action at the time has a kind of surreal look to it. For better or worse, I don't think it quite pulls it off, but it does have a bit of a surreal look to it. The scene when the girl gets killed at the bus is really well executed. Like you see her fiddling with something and then you just see a hand grab her and start choking her and it cuts away. And then when it cuts back to her, she's just like dead on the ground getting drug away. It's a really kind of creepy shot where you just see her dead there and her body just gets drug out and you see the earring left behind. Creepy shot. Really well done. Yeah. And then, of course, I like the werewolf girl. I never remember her name. I mean, she hasn't become the wolf part yet, but I've seen her before. I remember she's the werewolf girl. I like her. Part of that could just be because, I'm not going to lie, I think she's really cute. But I like that outfit she got. She got this really 80s look going on that looks really good on her. But I do like her as a character throughout the story, I remember. Let's talk about the things that don't work. Buckle up. There's a lot of them. First off, what's up with the guy who looks like he just got off the set of The Road Warrior? You know the guy I mean, the guy on the motorcycle. Like as soon as he shows up, my mind checks out. My mind sees that and goes, I'm out. And this is coming from someone who literally just last night watched Creature from the Pit and was fine with it. Creature from the Pit in all of its glory, I was fine with it. My suspension of disbelief was, that's fine. It's classic Who. It's on a budget. It's fine. There's a couple moments that look a bit, but it's fine. Creature from the Pit is great. I was fine with that, but I saw the guy from The Road Warrior and was like, nope, I'm out. I'm done. I can't take it seriously because all I can think of, he just got off the set of The Road Warrior. It looks so, it's like, hey, it's the 80s, let's do this. And then his attitude when he's talking to Ace, I'm going to be generous and call it his acting. When he's talking to Ace and then later the Doctor. Woo. Creature from the Pit, my suspension of disbelief is, it's classic Who, I can handle it. That guy in this, my mind's already checked out. I can't remember the last time I watched an episode of Doctor Who where I've had to pause it and take breaks so many times. Because I had to pause and take breaks during part 1, not the whole story, part 1. And I don't mean like 2 or 3 breaks. I mean like 12 or 20 breaks. It took me over an hour to get through this 24-minute episode. Over an hour. I don't even know how long. It was a while. Which sucked because it just made the episode seem even longer. But I kept having to take breaks. Like I'd come back and get about 30 seconds in, and I'd have to take another break. That happened several times. 30 seconds in, I'd have to get up and pace and mentally argue with myself. Like when I do the review, I'm going to have to talk about this because, oh my God, what is with this? Then the super nerdy guy shows up, who I know we see in later episodes is supposed to be a shot at the actual fans of the show, which is never an intelligent thing to do. Let's mock our fans, as Marvel and other people are learning now, these days in 2023. Don't mock your fan base. But we see him roll up, and I'm seeing him in the story, and I'm sitting here going, what the fuck is he doing here? What the fuck is he doing here? There's a lot of that in this story. Like when the doctor shows up there, and him and Ace are talking to the melon lady, or whatever she is, the lady that's like, gives directions. And then they buy some of her stuff and they're eating it. And the stuff they're eating looks disgusting. It looks like cream corn or something. And Ace is eating it. I'm watching it going, this is putting me off. This is awful. It looks terrible. And I'm wondering why Ace is eating it. Because the doctor's like, well, if we don't eat it, we might not get directions. And I'm sitting here looking at Ace going, you don't even want to go! Why are you eating it? It tastes terrible and you don't want to go. Don't eat it. Knock the melon over and go, oops, I'm not eating it. That way she won't give you directions. Why the doctor needs to ask her for directions, I don't know. Because right in front of him is a sign with the, psychic circus or psychedelic circus or whatever. I don't know. And it's like, directions this way. It's like he doesn't see the sign. Reading. Highly technical shit. And like the melon lady, that's another one. I'm like, why the fuck is this here? Why are you here? What is the point of... There's a lot of this in this story. The bellboy and the girl were fine. The fact they're being tracked by kites. Willing suspension of disbelief is going, oh no, the kites. Yeah, we've all had that thought in our life. Oh no, it's a kite. And I ran. Then there's the part when they almost got hit by the car. And some of this could just be the very bad choice of camera angle they did for this shot. But like you see them walking in what looks like the middle of the road. You see the car coming towards them. And I'm sitting here going, there's a car coming. There's a car coming! And then right at the last second, they push each other out of the way. Like, they could have really got hurt there from the angle it's done at. I'm like, how do you not see the car coming until it's right on top of you, going by the way that shot is lined up? The only way you could not see the very obvious black car coming at you is if you were looking any other direction besides forward. First off, they look like they're walking in the middle of the road, which is always an ingenious idea. Let's walk in the middle of the road. That's the best place to do it, of course. And let's look at each other and talk like this the whole time, because who needs to see if anything's coming? Or maybe they're doing it with their eyes closed. Maybe they're walking down the road like this, yes. Doesn't really seem like a 7th Doctor idea. Seems like a 13th Doctor idea, maybe. A classic Who being ahead of its time here. But it doesn't seem like a very good idea. But I don't understand how you don't see the car until it's almost on you. But as the shot is in progress, and I didn't remember this from first viewing. I didn't remember this part at all. I'm like, do you not see the car? Do you not see the car? Do you not see the car? And finally at the last second, they shove each other out of the way. And I'm like, ew. Also, the dialogue of this story, I don't know. I kept getting distracted. I found the dialogue of this story very boring and uninteresting. It's just the actual dialogue they're speaking. Nothing wrong necessarily with the people speaking it, but the dialogue being spoken wasn't drawing me in. Maybe it's coming because I'm coming off Creature from the Pit, which I really liked. It is well written. It has very good dialogue. And all of the actors seem to be putting in 100%, which the actors, for the most part, are doing here. We'll come back to that in a second. But for the most part, they're doing good. I like them. But Creature from the Pit just seems like the dialogue is written better. If you've seen that review, because I can't remember if it's going out before or after this one, you'll notice I talk about how much I enjoy a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the scenes and the way they talk, especially with Tom. Tom is just on fire in Creature from the Pit. Whereas here, I'm just bored and uninterested. And then there's the Captain Cook, the Professor Livingston guy I usually call him. Apparently his name's Captain Cook. This is another situation of why the fuck is he here? I get that he's here because he captured Werewolf Girl, who we don't know is a werewolf girl, but he mentions in the story that he found her on a planet and acquired her. But other than that, he is uninteresting. I don't know if it's the actor playing him, if it's the character in general, but I don't like him. He's like one of the most boring, uninteresting characters in all of Doctor Who. He's just there. And I listen to him talk, and his manner of speak annoys me. He's obviously a coward. Like when they're on the bus and the creature is coming at them, the robot is coming at them, he's like, oh, he's paying the fare, and he eases out. I will admit I like the scene when the doctor causes the machine to kind of accidentally destroy itself. That is cool. I didn't mention that on the bus. When he basically says all that stuff that confuses it, and then when it holds the register thing up, it blows itself up. That's really cool. I did like that. But yeah, the Captain Cook guy, I don't like him. He's one of the most uninteresting characters in all of Doctor Who. I don't care for him. Going by part one and my memory of the rest of the story. The bottom line is I can't understand, again, watching this coming off Creature from the Pit, which has such a negative reputation, but it's way better than this story. Going off part one and my memory of the whole story. Now, I may change my opinion after I rewatch parts 2, 3, and 4. But my original opinion of The Greatest Show from my first viewing wasn't favorable. It wasn't as bad as I'm saying here. I prefer it over Delta and the Bannerman. I didn't hate the story. Like right now, I'm just hating the story. I didn't hate it. I just didn't care much for it. I thought it was overrated. So it probably gets better as it goes on. But then it has such a good reputation. Like Greatest Show, everybody seems to like Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Whereas Creature from the Pit has this very bad reputation for reasons I can't possibly fathom, other than, it's known for having the phallic arm and the Tom trying to communicate with it, which are two small scenes. Other than that, Erita, or whatever it is, the creature from Creature in the Pit, doesn't look that bad, especially knowing the behind-the-scenes stuff of them trying to get it done. It's not bad in most of the scenes. And the story is actually good, the dialogue is good, the casting is good, the set design for that jungle in episode 1 and a little bit of episode 2 is very good. The set design for the caves is really good. And Lala Ward and Tom Baker are putting in great performances. It doesn't make sense to me for Greatest Show in the Galaxy to have this reputation and Creature from the Pit to have this reputation. I cannot fathom that at all. It makes no sense to me because this story is so much better than this story. And the only reason I think some people feel this way is because the internet says so. The internet says Creature from the Pit isn't good, so it must not be good. The internet says Greatest Show in the Galaxy must be good, so it must be good. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Or maybe it's people who saw like Greatest Show in the Galaxy 20 years ago, and they haven't watched it in a while. Because we all know, JNT was right, the memory cheats. We might have a Tomb of the Cybermen situation where if you actually go back and watch it for the first time in 20 and 30 years, and you go, I could have sworn it was better than this, like Tomb of the Cybermen when it was found. Or go back and actually watch Creature from the Pit with an open mind. And then, again, a couple naff scenes. That's fine. But if you can sit there and look at Road Warrior guy from Greatest Show of the Galaxy and go, yeah, that's fine. You should be able to look at Erita and go, yeah, that's fine. Especially since there's only a couple shots where it looks really, And actually pay attention to the story and the acting and how great Tom is in it and how great Lala is in it, then I think you'll appreciate Creature from the Pit more. It's just interesting watching these so close together and them having such varying degrees of polar opposites of popularity, with one way up here and one down here, and me just not being able to fathom that because I prefer Creature from the Pit so much more than Greatest Show in the Galaxy, going off the first episode and my memory of the story. I cannot possibly fathom that. I don't know, it's just, you guys know me. I'm really big on everybody has their own opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. My comment section is a safe space. Y'all know that. I'm pretty respectful of not everyone agrees with me, and that's fine. But this is one of those rare situations, and I'm sure everyone runs into this, where you hear somebody who has an opinion, and you're just like, that's wrong. That's just wrong. No, you're wrong. Be it Doctor Who or some franchise you like, somebody will have an opinion. Like somebody will tell you Terminator Dark Fate is better than Terminator 2 or some nonsense like that. And you'd just be like, no, that's just blatantly wrong. Or somebody would tell you Star Trek 5 is better than Star Trek 2, and you'd be like, everyone has that happen where you just hear that one thing that your mind is like, wait, what did you say? You actually have to get them to repeat it because you're not sure if you heard them right. That's how I am with Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Which is funny because so many people say it, but I'm always just like, you know what? In this case, normally I try to respect everybody's opinion, but in this case, I'm just going to say I'm right and all of y'all are wrong. Of course, I'll watch parts 2, 3, and 4 and see if my opinion changes, but man, part 1 was so hard to get through. It was so hard to get through. I kept having to take breaks. Ooh. I'll put it this way, after I get done watching Greatest Show in the Galaxy, I think I'm going to have to watch Power of Kroll as a palate cleanser, followed by Delta and the Bannerman, followed by, I won't say Kill the Moon, because Greatest Show in the Galaxy is way better than Kill the Moon, but, yeah. By comparison, in my personal opinion, Greatest Show in the Galaxy, by comparison, makes Creature from the Pit look like Genesis of the Daleks. Like the Caves of Androzani, like City of Death, like Heaven Sent by comparison. That's just me. We'll see how episodes 2, 3, and 4 come out. So I want to know what you think of this review, because I have a feeling some of you have opinions. Feel free to comment down below and share them. And let me know what you think of part 1 of Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I'm going to be telling a lot of people they're wrong. Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing part 2 of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, which was sent to me recently by one of my subscribers, Ian, which I really appreciate. Episode 2 is much better than part 1, in the sense that part 2 didn't actively piss me off like part 1 did. And I was able to watch part 2 all the way through. I mentioned in my review for part 1 that I had to take about 750 breaks while watching it. It was a lot of breaks. This one, I think I made it through without having to pause, unless I think I might have paused it once just to get up and get something to drink. But I was able to get through it. It was a lot better. Was it good? Might be too strong a word for it. First off, the Captain Cook character is useless. He does not need to be there. This is one of the most uninteresting, boring, useless, doesn't need to be there characters in all of Doctor Who. Ever. Doesn't need to be there. I don't get him at all. It's like he's just there. No, my dear boy, the way he talks irks me. I don't know if it's the actor, I don't know if it's the writer, I don't know what it is, but he irks me. And then when the Doctor and Werewolf Girl escape, he's just, no, I think I'll stay here, but you want to go out there and go on next? And then the cliffhanger is him leading the clowns to... It's really weird. Now, I really love the head clown guy. I'm guessing the actor who plays him must have a background in theater. He puts on a very theatrical performance, which works really well because when he's performing, his whole body is going into it. It's not just what he's doing with his face, but his body language, like when he's doing like this, and the facial expressions he does. It's all of it. He puts his whole body. It reminds me of when I was in the Once Upon a Mattress, which is the musical version of The Princess and the Pea, and I had to play the king, who is under a curse he can't talk and who had to pantomime everything. I loved that role. I was a theater major in college, and I had to pantomime everything, and that was one of the things I made sure I did was I put my whole body into every movement. Like when I was talking to a knight named Sir Harry, it was click my heels, Sir Harry, because my hair was much longer then. My whole body went into the movement, so I immediately identified with the head clown once I realized his whole body was going into everything he was doing. So I really, Really love that performance. The guy playing him, give him a BAFTA. I love that guy. I continue to like Werewolf Girl. I enjoy her in this. I mean, she is acting like a young teenage girl. She's kind of scared, but still kind of courageous. I feel like the actress playing her is doing her well, while still knowing there's something up with her that story-wise we don't know yet, which that's coming along really well. Sophie and Sylvester are still putting in good performances. I really don't care for the MC. The actor is doing fine, but he keeps rapping, and I do not like the rapping. It's just, the actual rapping is bad. That's how they started the episode. I forgot to mention that in part 1, but the episode literally starts with the MC rapping. It's so cringe-inducing. And it happens like twice in this story. And I gotta admit, I have to ask, okay, did y'all hire a black person in this role just because you needed him to rap? Or did you make him rap because you hired a black person in this role? I have to ask. The actor himself, when he's actually doing the lines and stuff, he's good. I like him. He's doing a good job as the MC. But the actual rapping is... Ooh. Every time I'm like, can I just fast forward through this? And then the nerd kid, because I can never remember anybody's name, so he's Nerd Kid. I really have a problem with this character because it's very obviously the show mocking its fans. You can tell when he's talking to the fortune teller woman who takes the tickets. And she is so ready for him to get in there. She's like, you can go on in. I can't. Oh, yes, please. And when he walks off, she's like, oh. You can tell she's annoying him with his, I know you were the best at this, and you did this, and I saw you at this, and this was your best performance. And then later, when he's talking to the MC, and the MC's leading him to the cell, you can tell even the MC's like, hey, I have all your pictures and posters, and you can tell this is how JNT saw the fandom. And to be fair, there are fans like that. And to be fair, JNT probably ran into a lot of fans like that, which I could see over time being grating. But I feel like it's mocking the fandom as a whole. And I don't think that's a thing a show should do. You should be appreciative of your fandom, not have contempt for them. And that's what we have here. They're showing contempt for their fandom. I don't appreciate that now. I'm betting at least some people didn't appreciate it then, and I can't understand why it's in a story that's held in such high regard, especially in a story that's not that great thus far. I've seen it before. I thought it was overrated, but not bad. But I'm going to be honest, the second watch through right now, halfway through the story, I'm not impressed. That's the thing. If you're going to sit here and mock the fandom, at least do it in a good story. Instead, you're doing it in a story that's not very good. So I feel like I can mock it. Yeah, I have a lot of issues with how they're treating Nerd Kid. Although the actor playing him is pulling it off well. Watching Sophie run around, I like how she ran away from Head Clown. Got away. I like how she cut the little slit in there and hit herself. I'm surprised she had enough time since she took off running and then the clowns were following her and she had enough time to... Plot happens because plot needs to happen. I did love the scene when the doctor gets called on stage and Ace is telling him not to go, and she steps down to be like, no, don't go. And it's cool because, like, you see a curtain right here, and poking in right behind her, almost like a flash, is Head Clown Light. It's really, the way the camera work is done there is magnificent. Because you see her, no, doctor, don't do it. And right here, kind of creeping in the background is Head Clown with his. It's great. I loved that shot. It really impressed me. Really, really liked that. Once again, we had another shot of the outside of the tent with the kind of alien planet in the background. That's a really neat effect for Classic Who. It's very effective. And everything happening in the tents, the surreal quality of it is working better in part 2. Maybe I'm just adjusting to it. But when they're running around in the tents, especially knowing the behind-the-scenes stuff with the strike going on and them having to basically film in the parking lot, it really works to give the feel an alien vibe to it. Loved the ending when they find that area that looks different and the girl sees the moon and is scared of it, but we don't know why, really letting us know there's still more going on with her and she doesn't want to talk about it. She's very self-conscious about it. Love that. Love the set design when they go into that area, the kind of stonework cave looking area. The set looks really good there. The bit with the doctor dropping the bowling ball pin or whatever it is, the juggling pin, down and seeing the eye, that's a really neat effect. I enjoyed that. The actual cliffhanger itself with the Captain Cook there. It's not bad. It's not great. It's all right. The bit when the girl and the doctor are tossing the pins back and forth, mock arguing to stage a rescue, or stage an escape. So when the robots come in, they knock them down. How you knock out robots, I don't know. But I mean, I guess they damaged them, but it's good enough. I liked that. I can say I liked it. I think Werewolf Girl and the Seventh Doctor go well together. I actually like them. Finding out Bellboy fixes the robots, that was a cool thing. I enjoyed that. Neat little piece of information. I'd forgotten that, honestly. There was something else that annoyed me, and I have forgotten what it was. It was just there when I was talking about something a second ago, and it slipped out of my mind. There was something else that really annoyed me. Episode 2 was okay. Some stuff I liked. I feel like I'm forgetting something I liked too. Some stuff I didn't like. Some stuff I'm still going, why is this person here? Captain Cook. But much more tolerable. The episode didn't make me angry. I didn't need a break from it. It didn't impress me. But it was grudgingly watchable. And that's the best I can give it. I'm still at the why do people like this story mode. I'm still at the people like this, but they don't want to watch Creature from the Pit. I'm still stuck on that. Because I just watched Creature from the Pit last night and loved it. Yeah, it falls apart a little in episode 4. Especially after the really awesome part at the beginning of episode 4. After the lady Andrasta dies, it kind of falls apart a bit. Special effects are a little naff, but still a good story. Whereas this one is held in such high regard, and I don't get it. I don't get it. So that's my thoughts on part 2. Let me know what you think of part 2 in Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And we'll move on to part 3. Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing part 3 of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, which was sent to me by one of my subscribers, Ian, which I really appreciate because I had been looking forward to watching this story. And part 3 is fine. Again, I don't really think this story is that great, to be honest, but parts 2 and 3 have not bothered me as much as part 1 did. I was very, very unhappy when I did that review. Whereas part 2 is fine. Part 3 is fine. The story's progressing along. It still has, it's very clunky, this story. There's a lot of things I'm like, why that? Like, first off, I like Bellboy, is that his name? We get some more time with Bellboy. He looks like Michael Biehn. I mean, it's not Michael Biehn, but he reminds me of Michael Biehn, which is a compliment. I like Michael Biehn. And he acts, the actor playing him does a good job of playing this person who's been under a lot of stress. He has kind of this post-traumatic stress, the way he's just kind of broken mentally in a way, and where he's just kind of given up. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but the way he's playing the character is really well done. I don't get the scene when he decides to make his robots strangle him. The head clown doesn't try to stop them. You figure since Bellboy is the only one that knows how to fix the robots, head clown would try to stop the robots from strangling Bellboy. But he doesn't. He just looks panicked, walks away, and goes. Now, the actual in and of itself bubble is cool, but in context to what's happening, makes no sense. He's just, oh no, the only guy who repaired the robot's going to die. And I'm sitting here going, learning more about Deadbeat and his past is cool, because we saw him a little bit in part 2, where he came across as a little pervy, if anything. I didn't quite get the guy. He was definitely off. But we get more of an explanation for that here. And it turns out he used to be kind of one of the people in charge. He was called Kingpin. And he was the one who originally wanted to come to this planet. And then something happened to him to make him deadbeat. That was pretty cool. That was an interesting little backstory there. I still don't get into the family watching. The actors playing them are playing them well, where you can tell there's something off about them, like there's no emotion. They have less emotion than 80s Cybermen. But I still find them uninteresting. Anytime they're doing their talking, I'm like, yeah, can we get past this? Yes, you're weird, don't have emotions. I know. Come on, you can teach Cybermen lessons. We, of course, get the Master of Ceremonies back out doing more rapping. You know, not that I have anything against rapping, but it's very bad rapping. The actor playing him when he's doing just talking is fine, but the rapping, I'm like, oh God, they're doing that again. And then they kill off Nerd Boy. That's just what I called him, Nerd Boy. Which is like, okay, the show just went out of its way to kill its fandom. Once again, predicting the Whittaker era and killing its fandom. I talked about this a bit in part 2, but like obviously Nerd Boy is mocking the fandom. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure some of the fandom really was like this character, and I'm sure JNT got driven nuts by some of them. Because we could be a passionate lot. But the fact they literally had him acting like the bit when Nerd Boy is talking to Captain Cook, who still continues to annoy me. And he's like, well, it's not, I wasn't there in the early days, and it's not as good as it used to be, but very much feels like Doctor Who had probably complaints JNT and Andrew Cartmel probably heard from fans, which annoyed them. But the fact they literally murdered him and killed him, and you find that, I'm like, you literally just did, like, you just murdered your Why would you do that? And this story is held in such high esteem and high regard. Why? Of all the stories that are held in such high regard, this is the one that I don't get the most. Like some of the ones I disagree with, I get. Like the Daemons. I think the Daemons is overrated. I think the Daemons is very good, but I think it's overrated. But I can understand why people feel that way about it. There's lots of stories like that where I can understand, even if I don't agree with the opinion. This is one of those where I hear so many people, the greatest show in the galaxy is one of McCoy's best in Essential Doctor Who, and I'm like, have you seen it? You've seen it? Then why? I don't get why. Also, the ending is cool. It's nice to see Werewolf Girl turn into werewolf. And I love the little hints that the story has dropped about this, about her. If you're paying attention, especially if you've seen the story before and you know it's coming, you know, you can catch them. Like, even in part 3, it mentions, you know, Captain Cook tells her you'd be dead if it wasn't for me. You'd already have a bullet in you. And he looks at her, a silver one. So it drops these little hints all throughout the story. The bit with the moonbeams. Her actual transformation's pretty well done. The makeup for her in her wolf form is decently nice for classic Doctor Who. I mean, I'd like her to be a little more wolf form, you know, a little more tooth and claw, less CGI, more practical effects. But again, we're working on a Doctor Who budget, and maybe her wolf form is just kind of a hybrid between human and wolf. It's still pretty effective, and I like it. It's a good cliffhanger. Though that very last shot of the Doctor when he's... That doesn't look like the Doctor's scared of a werewolf about to attack him. That look on his face is more like someone tricked him into watching Two Girls in One Cup. For the record, don't go watch that. But it looks like somebody tricked him into watching that. That's the look on his face of that. That's the haunted look he has on his face. Not the werewolf is coming to get me. I saw that last shot before the credits and I was like, part 3 is fine. It has some good stuff. It has some bad stuff. The Doctor, Chessmaster Doctor, is an idiot for trusting Captain Cook once again. He's sitting there, all right, all 3 of us are going to work together. That's the plan. Why would you trust this guy? Why would you trust Captain Cook? Once again, the most useless character ever. And of course, the captain, like, sorry, old boy, change the plan. I just want to smack that guy. There are very few characters in Doctor Who I just find more irksome. He bothers me. He irks me. But the episode itself is fine. Is it good Doctor Who? No. Is it utterly revolting Doctor Who? No. Is there better Doctor Who? Lots. Is there worse Doctor Who? Lots. In the modern series. It is one of the weakest classic Doctor Who stories I've seen. Like, if you were asking me, which one's worse, Power of Kroll or Greatest Show in the Galaxy? I'm going to be there going, ooh, that would be an interesting list. At least 5 episodes of classic Doctor Who. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that. So, I want to know what you think of part 3 of Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Comment down below and let me know. Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Now, I will start off talking about part 4 because I've already reviewed the first 3 parts, and then I'll talk about the story as a whole. Now, part 4 is easily the best part of the story. And it's actually pretty good. It's not great, but it is pretty good. It's still a little clunky. There's a couple clunky things in it, but I like a lot of what's going on in it. I like where it picks up from episode 3 with the werewolf girl attacking the doctor and Captain Cook basically cracking the whip at her to attack the doctor. That whole sequence there is really good. The way the lights are going, the way the doctor's running around and swinging everywhere. Now, you figure she could have killed him, but I like to think in my head that that's because she's fighting the urge to kill him, that she's trying to restrain herself, but she can't completely control it. That's why she's attacking him, but not killing him. I did enjoy when she turned on the captain and killed him. Very sanitary killing of him, but because I saw it coming when he gets close to her, and I'm sitting there going, "You're too close to her." I didn't remember her killing him, although I picked up that was probably going to happen when he kept getting close to her. I'm like, shouldn't do that. So when I was like, yeah, which is good. I hated the captain. So when he died, I was like, yes. More on that later. But yeah, I was like, yes. Also, it's the cleanest kill I've ever seen because when they show him dead, there's like no blood. It's got to be the cleanest kill I've ever seen a werewolf do, or a weregirl, or a were anything. Yeah, he killed him without a spot of blood on him. God dang werewolf etiquette. He should have had some blood or something on him. And how did she kill him? Just hold your throat politely. But I enjoyed that sequence. The only rough spot about that sequence that really was pulling me out of it was McCoy does go into that falsetto voice. I have talked about that before, where it does pull me out of scenes when McCoy is yelling, and instead of using his natural voice to yell, which I've also heard and is very effective, he goes into that fake voice, that falsetto voice, that false voice, and it always pulls me out because it's very obviously a fake voice. It's an actor doing a voice. There will be no battle here. Always takes me out when he does that in Battlefield, and it takes me out when he's like, "You can do it, Max. I believe in you." I'm like, pulls me out of it a little bit. Other than that, that scene is great. Now, McCoy, when he normally yells like he does at one point in Silver Nemesis, and like he does later in this story, is actually very effective. We'll get to that as well. The incidental music in this story, and especially in part 4, is really good. I remember thinking the incidental music in part 1 worked in places and not in other places. And I don't really remember much about the incidental music in parts 2 and 3. I couldn't even tell you if there was any. I just don't really remember it. But the incidental music in part 4 is really good. Pretty much the whole episode has really good incidental music going through it. At least it seemed like that to me. Really kept the pace going. Because episode 4 tends to move very quickly. There's a lot of action in it. There's a lot going on. It really keeps you moving, which I like. And the music complements that perfectly. The bit with the doctor distracting the gods while Ace and Werewolf Girl and Kingpin all get together and do their stuff works. I like, I'm kind of surprised the robot didn't get to kill Ace. It was sure struggling with her for a while. It's nice to see Kingpin kind of get his wits back. I still think it's kind of weird that the robot self-destructs if you press the button on its head. I figured that would deactivate it. Like when he's like, knock the cap off. That's an obvious weakness to have. You know, you figure when you press the button, it would deactivate it. That would make sense. Why would you program in for it to explode? It's not working right. Turn it off. That makes more sense. It's not working right. Blow it up. So when it blew up, I was like, hey, why would you program it to do that? Like I said, the episode is good, but clunky in places. I did like them using the big robot to stop all of the clowns. I had forgotten whether the head clown was a robot or not. I couldn't remember going into this story if it was all the others that were robots or if he was also a robot. And it just wasn't revealed until the end. Turns out it wasn't. He wasn't. He was a person. I did like how at the end when he's facing off with Kingpin, you know, Kingpin's yelling at him like, "No, I just didn't give in like you did." And then when the head clown and all the other robot clowns are killed, you know, the fat Kingpin stops and looks down at him and is like, you know, he was a good clown once. Almost like he was mourning a friend. I liked that. It was a nice little touch. It's not, like I said, it's only a few seconds, but I enjoyed that he was kind of acknowledging the loss of someone who was once his friend. I liked that. I still like Werewolf Girl a lot. Just the actress playing her does a really good job. Plus, I like her outfit design. Whoever did the costume designs for this did a pretty good job, especially with Werewolf Girl. I like her get-up. I was amused by the bit when a Werewolf Girl is running away and the little truck is parked in the road from the lady who sells the melon stuff. And I kind of figured the clown car was just going to ram through it and keep going, and instead it stops. And she's like, what? I live here. And the clown's just like, like he's waiting for her to get out of the way. Wasn't expecting that. It amuses me that that's what happened. I figured he would have just rammed through the truck. That was funny. McCoy, when he's going to face the gods of Ragnarok, and he goes through the tent, and it does this weird techno effect as he's going through like this, is really cool, but way too long. Like when it first started, I'm like, that's a cool effect. I really like that. And then it keeps going and going. And it's really just McCoy for way too long. So by the time it was over with, I'm like, oh, finally. The actual area where he's keeping them distracted, the set there is really nice. The way the gods of Ragnarok are dressed up, the little stone things they're wearing, I like that costume design. It is interesting when you start seeing the family using their powers, their eyes glowing, talking in voices. When you start realizing how powerful they are, that's well executed. The bit when the doctor is distracting them gets tediously boring. Like, it's playing to McCoy's strength, because McCoy is very good at those physical activities. That's kind of what he came up doing. And I like the fact he gets to do that. He even got to play the spoons, I think, a little in episode 1, which I always love when he plays the spoons. But it got tedious, especially the bit with the rope. It went on too long. While I enjoyed it, especially how he could do the swaying thing, that got a little tedious, and I was always waiting for it to cut back to Ace. And the people with Ace, and I like how they take the clown car and head back in it. And then the fact the gods resurrect the captain feels wasted, and why? When I saw him resurrected too, I was like, ah, crap, more of the captain. The bogus captain again. Because when he had died, I'd been like, yes! Because I never liked that character. Such a useless character. So when he got back up, I was like, ah, no. Now, the bit when he takes the little necklace thing, and she's like, I thought you were dead. He's like, I am. Oh, I am. The way the actor delivers that line is chilling and creepy. I do like that. I am. But then they don't do anything with him. It's like it's just there for filler. Because, like, almost immediately after, they kick it out of his hands, and then he walks into the thing himself, the pit himself. It's really, again, clunky. Also, how is Kingpin still alive? Because I thought zombie Captain Cook, because that's what he is basically, I guess, undead zombie Captain Cook, pushed him into the pit, I thought, when he took the thing out of his hand. Because it looked like he shoved him and then caught the thing when Kingpin dropped it. So I thought Kingpin fell into the pit. But then the next time it cuts back to them, Kingpin is still standing up there. I'm like, did he not fall in? Did he start to fall in, caught himself hooked? Clunky. It's a clunky episode. Good episode, clunky. And then the captain just walks into the... Also, the bit when the doctor is like reflecting their beams back at them, like he's a Jedi, with this itty bitty little pin. Like all, 3 of the gods of Ragnarok are shooting the beams down at him, and he's reflecting all of them back with something like this big. Pew, 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 pew. I'm like, the doctor must be a Jedi. Beep, 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 beep. You figure the guys would be like, all right, you hit high, you hit low, I'll hit in the middle. I figure they're pretty powerful because they're called the gods of Ragnarok. Boy, they really put a lot into their marketing they don't live up to. So they feel a little anticlimactic. I guess a really powerful pendant, I guess. You figure they would have hidden it better. Clunky. Now, I do like the bits when he throws it away and he does his little hat and he walks off and the actual set starts collapsing. That looks really cool. The scenery of the set collapsing and the gods kind of... That's a really, really nice action piece. I enjoy that. And of course, we have that iconic shot of the doctor walking out of the tent and then the tent kind of exploding out behind him. That's a very iconic shot. It's used in a lot of fan trailers where you see him walking away and the tent just... That's a really cool shot. Then the effect of the red mist energy, like going into the sky as the tent kind of collapses on itself with the red energy shooting out, is a really neat effect. Again, you can see that other planet in the background. The special effects for this story look really good. I really don't think this story needs updated effects. The effects look really good. I was really pleased with the effects used in this final episode. I mean, in the whole story, they're fine. But in this final episode, it's really nice. We do get a nice climactic finish. It does, again, feel a little too easy. And the fact the Doctor had his timing down perfectly for when the amulet would go down seems a little plot convenient. But then again, if there's any doctor who could pull that off, it's Chess Master Dr. McCoy. So my willing suspension of disbelief is like, it passes. Like I said, clunky, but good. And then the actual ending is fine with the Doctor and Ace talking with Wolf Girl and Kingpin. They have their little conversation at the end. It's fine. Part 4 is good. Bordering on what I would call great. I would say it's really good. Not quite great just because, again, there are some clunky moments in it that don't quite work for me. There are some... It's kind of like Rise of Skywalker, which is not good, but it's like Rise of Skywalker that there's so much going on, it doesn't quite give you time to think about things. You know, kind of like in Rise of Skywalker where you're like, well, that doesn't make any... Ooh, Lando! Well, this doesn't make any... Ooh, look, there's Wedge! There's some of that going on. There's so much action going on that some of the stuff that doesn't make sense, it doesn't give you time to think about. But I noticed. But I did like how it moved at a quick pace. I liked the action scenes in it. Like I said, for the most part, the pace it moved at was quick. The incidental music complemented that well. So basically what this story boiled down to with its 4 parts was it had a first part I really didn't like. It pissed me off. If you saw my review for part 1, I was very unhappy. It had a second part that was fine. It had a third part that was fine. Not bad. Not really good. Okay. And then it had a fourth part that I think is good. Really good. That I enjoyed. It does tie itself up pretty well at the end. So it's really hard to judge the story as a whole. Is Greatest Show in the Galaxy a good story? No. I would say no. I'd say it's a story with a good ending. A good final episode. Kind of the opposite of Hand of Fear in a way. Where Hand of Fear has a good 3 episodes and then it falls apart really bad. In the final episode, although it does have a really good ending with the departure of Sarah Jane in it. And Creature from the Pit, which has the first 3 episodes are really good, the first few minutes of part 4 are really good, and then it kind of falls apart. Not to a bad degree, but kind of falls apart at the end of part 4. But even though it never gets bad, I can still say Creature from the Pit is a better story than Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And I will never, ever, ever, ever understand how anyone could see any differently. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how the fandom can have this opinion of Greatest Show in the Galaxy and this opinion of Creature from the Pit, which doesn't have a good reputation. Other than, season 17 had their budget. It all went to City of Death in China. I don't get that. Because I find the performances better in Creature from the Pit. I won't say the effects better. The effects are better than Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Although I think... I still think Road Warrior looks way worse than Arato does. I never liked Road Warrior. I was glad when he got killed in part 2. I was like, yeah, get him out of there. That actor. But like from story standpoints, I would much rather rewatch Creature from the Pit, which I again just watched last night. I found it much more enjoyable than watching this. Although part 4 does make up for it a lot. Part 4 is a lot better. So this is really one of those stories where it's really hard, where you have such drastically different opinions of individual episodes of a story. And some of you might have stories like that. And for me, that's a lot like The Chase with me, where I love the first episode of The Chase. I love the final episode of The Chase. I can't stand the 4th episode of The Chase. I don't care much for the 5th episode of The Chase. I don't care much for the 2nd episode of The Chase. The 3rd episode of The Chase, I love the part on the Empire State Building with Steven, even though it's not actually Steven. but the guy that Peter Purvis is playing in that one. I love that part. But then there's also the part with the Mary Celeste, which I think is terrible. So that literal episode is kind of half and half for me. So it's interesting to have a story kind of similar to that where I have drastically different opinions of the different episodes that make up this story. I can't stand part 1. And part 2 and 3 are fine. And I really liked part 4. Which is good. You know, it's nice that it ends on a high note like this instead of disappointing you at the end. I'll definitely give it that. I went into part 4 thinking, because I remembered on my original watch through of Greatest Show in the Galaxy, of wondering why people liked the story so much. Not necessarily thinking it was bad, but thinking it was vastly overrated. I've said before on the channel that the only 2 McCoy stories I don't really care for are Delta and Greatest Show. My opinion of it was always that it's not that good and it's very overrated. And when I was doing my rewatch, I was like, good Lord, is it even worse than I thought? And now watching part 4, I say, okay, that's probably what carried it for me, which at least got it up to, it isn't that bad. Parts of it are that bad. Parts of it are not that bad. Parts of it are in between. So that's kind of my thoughts on Greatest Show in the Galaxy. McCoy, of course, and Sophie are putting in great performances. Most of the guest cast are putting in great performances. The head clown is great. The girl playing Werewolf Girl is great. The MC is great when he's not having to rap. The fortune teller girl is great. Though really the only main, I don't really like the nerd boy character because it's just kind of insulting to the fans in general. But the actor playing him is doing it well. Really the only person I just absolutely couldn't stand was the Captain Cook character, which... So the Greatest Show in the Galaxy, what do you think of it? And if you like it, please explain to me why, because I can't possibly fathom it. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I want to give a shout out to Ian Butler, who sent me this. He also sent me my Spearhead from Space Blu-ray. One of them, I actually got 2 of them from fans. So I really appreciate him sending this. I had been wanting to rewatch it. So I really appreciate him taking the time to send that to me. I also have a P.O. box down there if there's anything you would like to send to me. A link to my Amazon wish list is down there as well, because I think that had been on that and he sent it directly from that, if you want to check that out. And YouTube memberships are also available, most importantly. Thank you for watching.